he say he was on his way?
No, but he didn't seem to be here, but go ahead.
All right, before I open up to questions from the media, there are two brief topics that I'd like to address. One regarding the 59 corridor study and the other being the Aurora Strong Community Fund. Let's begin with the Aurora Strong Community Fund. It's been over a month since the tragedy at Henry Pratt. Last Friday on the 1 month anniversary, Chief Zeman and I visited Pratt. And on Saturday, we joined Pratt employees, families of the victims, and some of the injured officers at a special memorial service. As we announced last week at City Council, the Aurora Strong Community Fund continues to grow thanks to the residents of Aurora and those all around the country who have contributed. Today we have a special announcement from the Paramount Theater, who hosted a special campaign during its Broadway musical, The Producers, which aided to fund the GoFundMe account. Visitors from 496 cities and 6 different states contributed. Today, here we have with us President and CEO Tim Rader to explain the campaign and to announce the total raise. Mr. Rader?
So on behalf of the Aurora Civic Center Authority Board and staff and patrons that came to see the producers, we raised a little over $50,000. To be exact, it was $51,754.10. We're happy to provide this to the Aurora Strong Fund. We collected after every performance following the tragedy. Our patrons were very generous. They made a point of thanking us for providing them the opportunity to help give back. So it's just
let's say those numbers one more time, brother, just so we can have the full effect. Did you say
$51,754.10?
And 10 cents.
Someone's
Let's
throwing their change.
give a round of applause. Thank you very much. Wow, man, that's big money. We'll put that right in the bank for the victims.
Good.
And thank you, the Paramount, ACA, Aurora Civic Center Authority, Tim Rader, Jim Jarvis, and the whole team that you guys have over there for continuing to put on good shows and to step up the way you did and support our the families of the victims and our police officers. Now, are there any questions from the media about Mr. Rader or the Paramount's efforts and the amount of money they raised?
How did you collect the money after the performances?
Mr. Rader, how did you collect the money after the performance?
We had we actually created a new house announcement prior to the show that let them know that there'd be an opportunity after the show. We created an Aurora Strong gobo, which is a light that we shone on our main stage curtain prior to the show to help provide the support of where it was going. But then staff and ushers at the following every performance of the producers would wait at the end of the aisles at the top of the theater, the back of the theater, with baskets that we purchased to collect the funds.
Thank you.
Thank you again, sir. Job well done. All right, let's move on to the Route 59 corridor. Last Tuesday, the Aurora City Council approved the Route 59 corridor study as a guide to redevelopment in that area. Many may not be aware that the Route 59 corridor is not just a major gateway in Aurora, but it's also the second largest commercial corridor in the entire state of Illinois. The first is Chicago's Magnificent Mile. Our 59 corridor is a key part of the current and future success of Aurora and Naperville and the school district that we share. The trend of retail establishments and indoor malls, coupled with undeveloped sites and underutilized properties in that area, were the catalyst for a comprehensive study and plan. For more than a year, the Route 59 corridor has been in the development process as the city has met with key stakeholders, including Indian Prairie School District 204. We know we must have a plan of action for this area, for our future for this area. That is not just a notion for Aurora, but this is something that cities have to deal with throughout the country as they face similar challenges as we face here. Just this morning, an article was published in the Beacon News website. Charlestown Mall redevelopment seen as a key as key by St. Charles City Council candidates. Now, as many as you may be aware, and you may know that the Charlestown Mall is a mall that is dying extremely fast, as are many malls like it around our country. I'm very glad that our city council had the foresight to approve our plan before we got to that point. And as we responsibly plan for Aurora's future, there have been concerns expressed by Indian Prairie School District 204 regarding the impact of residential parts of the plan would have on student populations, and concerns about the use of TIFs in the projects. I've asked the City Director of Development, Strategy and Facilitation, Trevor Dick, to explain more. Prior to joining our team, Trevor Dick worked in Naperville, so he brings experience and knowledge of both sides of Route 59. Mr. Dick?
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor said, my name is Trevor Dick, Director of Development Strategy and Facilitation for the City of Aurora. Our staff is extremely thrilled with the adoption of the new Route 59 corridor plan. We see it as an additional tool to help the city make future land use and development decisions. I think it's important to mention, before I give a brief statement, about what the plan is and also what the plan is not. The plan is a guiding document. It can change in time, it's not set in stone, and it's meant to be flexible. The plan provides a vision for what the corridor could look like over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but that vision can change. The plan is not a specific development proposal. Future recommendations may or may not happen, depending on a variety of factors. However, as developments are proposed, each new development will follow the city's current entitlement and development approval process. Although we have heard a lot of excitement and positive input about the plan, we have also heard some concerns, as the Mayor mentioned, particularly from Indian Prairie School District 204. The first is the creation of new students. It's true, students will be generated with new residential development, except for senior housing. But this is true for any residential development in any community. The second concern is the use of incentives for economic development, more specifically the use of tax increment financing. The city has a strong track record of using incentives, including tax increment financing. And the city also has used them successfully with the creation of revenue sharing agreements with school districts to provide revenues immediately. Being fully aware of these issues, city staff has met with the school district representatives, and we look forward to continued discussions. Our goal is to be able to provide and reach a win-win solution. A specific project which I believe shows how important deal efforts are for the city and how important development decisions are is a proposed senior living development at the intersection of 75th Street and Ogden Avenue. That site has been a long vacant and fallow 30-acre parcel which generates only $5,000 a year in taxes. That property will continue to do so without development. Now think about that. That's a 30-acre property on 75th Street, and it generates less revenue than a typical single-family home. Knowing the school district's sensitivity to additional school-age children, the city has turned away several proposals for non-age restricted apartments on that site. As a result, the current development is a senior housing which generates 0 students. Regarding the school district's second concern, which is the use of tax increment financing, I think it's important to first discuss how that potential incentive would be used for this development. The incentive will be used to help fund the construction of the long-awaited and long-needed extension of Commons Drive. Commons Drive has been in both the city of Aurora's and the DuPage County's long-range planning documents for decades. This road will provide residents, commuters, school buses, and bicyclists with a north-south connection passing the Fox Valley Mall and ending at the Route 59 Metro Station. This site has sat with no activity for over 20 years. During this time, every developer that has approached the city has stated that the burden of constructing the road has made any project infeasible, and every developer has come forward asking for incentives. City staff has reviewed and analyzed multiple options and multiple approaches and determined that assisting the development with its roadway construction cost obligation is the optimum approach. This approach keeps the infrastructure cost from impacting tax bills outside of this particular development. This project is an example of how balancing the needs of the school district, the park district, developers, and the larger community is important. To conclude, our staff looks forward to working with all stakeholders to strengthen the Route 59 corridor. And at this time, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
What is the estimated number of the increase of students? Is there one?
So in a 20-year document, it's difficult to determine exactly the number of students. We've ran calculations for the next 5 years. I think with the developments that we know are either already approved or under construction right now, we have a number. I believe the number is around 500 students. That is from the entire corridor, from the Route 59 train station, all the way down to Montgomery Road, CN Railway tracks the Route 59, yes. It depends upon a lot of factors, including when developments happen. Not all of the recommendations of the plan are going to happen overnight. It'll depend as well as what residential type units are built. If more senior housing units are built than what is not senior housing, and also bedroom size. We're finding when we work with the school district that bedroom size matters. For example, apartments with 1-2 bedroom units result in less students typically than 3-bedroom students. So it's difficult for me to provide an exact number, but I think a range of 500 in the next 5 years is an appropriate estimate.
So you don't mean bedroom size, like the square footage of a room, you mean the number of bedrooms?
You're exactly right. Yes, the number of bedrooms.
Forgive me for not knowing my Aurora TIF districts and where they're located, but is there a TIF for that senior living project at 75th Street and therefore for the Commons Drive proposed extension?
That is the proposal, correct. Yes, the TIF would be for that development, the senior development, and the TIF money would be used for the construction of the road.
Has been deemed eligible for a TIF?
Yes.
What's the TIF number on that?
So even though it's eligible, we haven't begun the process to
Oh.
actually formalize it yet. There's a certain step of requirements through state law, and that hasn't happened yet. If I had to guess, the number, well, we've got 9 now, so
Yeah.
likely it would be 10.
And when will you begin the process of creating the TIF?
We're
I mean,
curr-
you know,
Yep, we're currently working with the developer on the development proposal, and so once it's finalized, when the TIF is deemed to be appropriate and moving forward, we will do that shortly.
Jason?
Besides concerns with the school district, can you express any concerns or comments you've heard from Naperville, city of Naperville?
So we've had, I've seen things online. We've had representatives show up. We had a very successful open house in the wintertime. We had over 150 residents from both Aurora and Naperville attend. It was at the Calvary Church. There were elected and appointed officials from Naperville in attendance, so we had a lot of dialogue with them. I think that if I could summarize, they see this as an important regional corridor for both cities. The representatives from Naperville that did talk to us did have concerns about student generation as well as the use of incentives. And I think that also gets back to the mayor's earlier point that District 204 is shared by both communities. So I think that they see that we're definitely together in this whole corridor redevelopment.
I have a silly question. But considering Naperville and Aurora, is there a perception that one side of Route 59 or the other is in a stronger or weaker economic position?
I don't think so.
Needs more help, doesn't need more help?
I think in our perspective, Mayor, help me if I miss something, but I think we see the corridor as one entity. I don't think we see it as a Naperville side versus an Aurora side. I think especially when you drive down Route 59, a lot of visitors, residents, people that come there to shop, they don't even really know which side's Aurora, which side's Naperville. But I think when you do drive through the corridor, I'm sure you've seen a lot of vacancies, and that's on both sides of the Route 59 corridor right now. So I think a plan benefits both communities, especially, for example, the mall. We see if the mall dies, that would be a huge image and identity issue for both communities. I don't think either side would like to see that happen. And so we're trying to be proactive to create a plan to help keep that a successful and thriving business.
Currently, that corridor generates about $3 million alone for the school district.
The Fox Valley Mall
The
itself.
Fox Valley Mall itself
Yep.
generates about $3 million. So if that mall fails, that's $3 million that the school district currently relies on will not get. So we have an interest in making sure it doesn't fail. And that interest I would think would be also shared by our sister city, Naperville. Any additional questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll see you next COW meeting at 4:30. Signing off.